welcome to episode 10 of the BillyJoe Podcast. I'm your boy Billy.
I am Joe.
Joe, episode 10, baby.
Billy, we're here, bro.
Double digits.
Absolutely.
We're making it. Well, bro, today's a special one, another one.
Yeah, it
We're
is.
a very special guest in the room, a former man of Marist, of Parramatta Marist, goes by the name of Michael Chammas. Welcome to the podcast, mate.
Thanks for having me, boys.
Mick,
Appreciate
welcome, bro. Thanks for coming in, bro.
Episode 10,
Appreciate
the last
it.
one. No one's coming in after this. Dropping after this.
Hang it up, bro. Hang it up.
No, I meant the other way. You're going to ruin it for yourself.
What's going on, bro?
Not much, man. It's been a hectic start to the year, to be honest with you.
Yeah, I
It
bet,
hasn't
man.
Stopped, man. It hasn't stopped. But you know what? Good. It's good. Keeps it busy.
That's good. Did you have a good break? Did you even get a break?
I had a break. I went to America with the family before Vegas.
Oh, nice.
Drove around for about 3-4 weeks.
Oh, nice. Good.
And then sent them home and ended up in Vegas for work.
Oh, beautiful.
For work,
eh?
How tough gig, bro.
Tough gig,
yeah,
Mick,
yeah.
bro. Tough
I
gig.
felt bad sending the missus back. We were in San Francisco. The kids are crying, jumping on a plane. I'm heading to Vegas. I felt bad. You know?
Well,
Someone's got to do it, eh? Nah,
yeah.
it's awesome, bro. It's good to have you on, bro. Crazy week, huh?
Yeah, well, it has been like this Lockie Galvin stuff has just been.
Yeah.
I thought the Cherry Evans story at the start of the year was going to be as big as it got.
Yeah.
But this Galvin stuff's been crazy, man. It's
so
been crazy.
how do you deal with that, Mick? Like in the sense of it is your work, right? Your job is to get a story, right? But this kid's 19 and he is copying a belting.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
How long you feel sorry for the kid, like what he's going through. But
Yeah.
you know, at the end of the day, we've got obviously a job to do now. You know, I've got a relationship. Wouldn't say it's a great relationship with Lockie, but I've had some sort of relationship with him. I'm messaging him beforehand, and you know, it was fine. And even when it all went down, like obviously he probably doesn't like us and what we're saying, but I sent him a message and said, "Hope you're all right."
Yeah.
Like, you know, I don't expect a response. Like, you know that there's the human element to it. You know, you don't want to put that on anyone, but it also
Don't misunderstand my question. So I'm not saying it's because of you guys. If anything, it's coming from both camps.
Yeah, agree.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like I heard a report, and maybe you can clear this up, that his father's like playing a big role in all of this, and you know people from junior league have come out and said, mate, he's been difficult to deal with, even with you know his other sons.
yeah,
But then you got the club and the teammates, you know, giving him a bit of a hide in,
yeah,
right? At the end of the day, there's a kid in the middle, and he's getting driven, like even with his player manager, like a lot of this, like how much of it is he's doing?
Well, sure, you know, I'm taking my jacket off, man.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's
man,
been
it's,
hot.
it's heating up.
It's heating up in your
You're
Mick.
grilling me, I'm gonna take the jacket off. Oh, look, I don't know. Like at the end of the day, the player manager's got a job to do for his client, and the Tigers are trying to do what's best for them. Like the thing is, it's in the heat of the moment, everyone does things that they probably think they can do better. And I'm not going to sit here and bag people. Like obviously, we sit on those panel shows and we have an opinion and we
Yeah.
tell you what we know. But like, when you actually look back and peel all the layers off, the manager's trying to do what's best for the kid, whether you agree with it or not. The club's trying to do what's best for them.
Yeah.
The players thought they were doing what's best for them in terms of standing up for Benji. And Benji's just trying to do his best as a coach. Like, no one is deliberately trying. I don't think anyone has maliciously gone out there to try and ruin another party. But
Yeah.
in this situation, everyone has separate interests. And it's hard sort of differentiating the truth from the fiction. And you speak to different people, and one person tells you one thing,
Yeah.
someone else tells you another. It's difficult, and sometimes the emotion gets the better of people.
That's what I want to get to you next, Mick. I'm not talking about this instance, this story. I'm just talking about in general when you want to break a story.
Yeah.
Someone tells you one thing, you hear something else from someone else. How do you know what's credible, bro, and what's not?
Well, and a lot of people don't think we check things, but we do. Like,
Yeah, that's what yeah, bro, a lot of people say that.
We've got to speak to as many people. Now, sometimes that's difficult. Sometimes you don't have a relationship with someone. Sometimes you can't trust someone. But in most situations, you're going to 3, 4, 5 people on this particular story to get the version of events. Now, depending on depending on who you talk to, you'll get a more accurate version. But sometimes you get conflicting messages. Someone will tell you this is what happened, and then someone will tell you something else happened. So you've got to try and navigate who's telling you the bullshit.
Yeah.
You know, and of course,
What do you do in that instance?
in terms of trying to figure out
In
who's lying.
what do you run? Yeah, what story would you run?
I'm trying to think of an example. You know, like the other day, the Tigers thing happened where they put out a statement saying false media reports about
Those two junior
two
players.
kids, right?
Yeah.
Like,
That was recently.
Yeah.
between Danny Wilder and myself, we spoke to both agents of the players. We spoke to the RLPA and we spoke to Shane Richardson, the CEO of the Tigers. Like, we've covered off all our bases. Now,
Yeah.
the information we got at the time from the RLPA and the information we got from the agents and the information we got from the Tigers, there was differing of views on what had transpired. Now, we reported that the two players had gone to RLPA. Generally, when you're reporting something in that situation, for example, like if a player is talking to a club, you say that player is talking to the club.
Yeah.
You know what we mean. It's the agent talking on behalf of the
absolutely.
player.
Yeah.
So, they got us on a technicality with Brandon Toomuth, one of the kids, that the agent went to the RLPA. But also, the RLPA with the other kid had raised concerns with the Tigers. So, it's interesting. People say, oh, you lies, you make it up. No, everyone has a different version of events. Now, in that situation, we amended the story to reflect what happened, because it wasn't until the next day that the Tigers came out and said that the players themselves hadn't gone to it, which we can cop. If we get something wrong, not deliberately making up stories, just factual information that was off, then we go and change that. We fix that.
Yeah.
Right?
So it's not like a fucking made up story. Just to fucking ruin something.
No, that's where people.
It's actually human error.
Yeah, well,
Not human error, but it's a.
But even I spoke to Shane Richardson, the CEO, before I wrote the story, and I told him I'm going to ring you back and check something with you, and he said to me, "I don't give a fuck what you write. Don't call me back." Like,
Yeah. Okay.
then they complain
Oh, wow.
after. So like it's.
Wow.
Yeah, and I'm not saying having a go at him. We have those conversations and it gets animated all the time, but it's hard to... People think you just make it up.
Yeah.
No one just makes it up. There are different versions of people's truths, and that's subjective, and our job is to try and work out what that is.
I hope that clarifies it to all the listeners and the viewers, bro.
So
Because
even more confused after that explanation.
There's something that I wanted to bring up, and we've jumped straight in. Like, we want to get to know Michael.
yeah, I know, bro.
Right? So, but before
The jacket's off.
since we've jumped in it right away,
I
right?
normally sit next to Gus and I don't get this sweaty.
Oh
So for example, like a story that, again, as we had a chat off camera,
Yeah.
I'm a big mental health advocate, right? And this is why my concern, like, whatever the Tigers are doing, whatever, Galvin's dad or manager's doing, I look past all that, I peel it all back, and I just think, this fucking poor kid, right? But anyway, moving on from that, there was a story that come out. I don't know if you can clarify this. So it was a dogs Cronulla game, and I think it was a Tupanua got sin-binned at full time.
Yep.
And he was walking off the field.
Yep.
And then there was
Fafita
was on the sideline.
I do remember that, yeah.
Yeah, and he said to him, "Oh mate, don't go in the sheds. It's full time. Just stay out here and shake the boys' hands." That's the story that Gus had later revealed.
That's right.
But in the papers, it come out as it was heated. He grabbed him and there was an altercation. How can someone get it so wrong?
Well, I don't think it was. I remember the incident because I think it ended up running on a website. I don't even know what website it ran on, but I remember the incident because the next morning, and I was watching that live at the time, and I remember seeing it. So I saw Andrew Fafita approach Satilli.
Yeah.
And I thought, well, what's going on there? Like, what's Andrew Fafita doing in the tunnel? And my
Yeah.
natural instinct is to say, well, something happened here.
Something's going on.
Same
Yeah.
as me. I thought the same thing.
Yeah. And I rang the Sharks CEO the next morning. I said, Dino Mezzatesta. I said, Dino, has Andrew Fafita has there been any trouble with Andrew Fafita and the NRL and the ground officials? Has there been a complaint made? He said, no, why? He said, well, there was an incident after the game involving Andrew Fafita. And he said, well, let me check. I'll ring him now. I said, oh, no worries. Mate, to his credit, Dino rang me back 5 minutes later and said, mate, I just spoke to Andrew. Mate, that's one of his brothers, Tonga. They played together. They're really close. He was just telling him, mate, don't go in the sheds. Just stay here. That's full time.
So you checked it out.
Yeah, of course. That's our job. We have
No,
to.
no. So
Wow.
no. So you've checked it out, but yet another. So obviously you didn't.
I left it. I was
Not your
at
team.
El Jana in Bella Vista at the time. I remember the phone call.
100%. You
Shout
had
out.
more important business.
Shout out El Jana, man.
So
Judy calls.
you've moved on from it,
Yeah.
but then yet someone's grabbed that and run with a narrative.
Because I don't think it was someone who was in the mainstream rugby league media. To be honest, I can't remember who wrote the story, but it was on some web. It might have been a Yahoo. I can't remember, to be honest with you. It was a website that wasn't a mainstream rugby league journo. So they've just clearly they would have. Well, my understanding of it is they've seen it and just written it based on what I saw, what Bill saw, and which we thought there was something there. But we checked it out, right? And we're told, look, I can either choose to believe it or not, and then continue to make sources. But I got no reason to doubt Dino Mezzatesta. He's a good man at the Sharks, and he's always been honest with me. Now, perhaps Andrew in that situation could have lied, but I didn't. That wasn't what I thought had happened, and I didn't.
Absolutely.
After watching the footage back, I decided,
would have flared up.
Believe the version of events.
It would have flared up. Something happened, bro. Or something would have flared up.
All right, so Michael Chammas, where does your story begin, mate? What area did you grow up in? What school did you go to? What nationality are you?
Yeah.
Right? Just give us, a bit more about you.
Well, everyone confuses me for Michael Carianis. They just think I'm the bloke from the Fordham, and they confuse him for me. Like, he was telling me the other day, actually, that he went to a game and some bloke's like, oh, man, I feel sorry for they always confuse you and Carianis and Chammas. He said, but I really like what you do, Chammas. He said, you're still getting it wrong, mate. But, no, I grew up in Marylands.
Yeah.
Marylands boy.
Marylands
Hood, eh?
The hood. Yeah,
The hood,
not,
brother.
Not far from Bill.
That's it, man.
You're Marylands boy, aren't you? Greystanes
No,
boy?
Maryland's boy, bro.
Marylands.
60, baby.
That's
Living
it.
Greystanes now, but
Yeah. All the people, the snobs, they leave Marylands. They go to
They go
Greystanes.
up on that
it's
hill.
the Vaucluse of the area.
It's like there's a pecking order. You start in Marylands, Guildford, you
Work
go to
your way up.
Greystanes, then you go to Oatlands.
That's
When
it,
you get
bro.
to Oatlands, you've made it.
You've made it.
But that's exactly that's my dream. Only,
Say swear.
bro.
So he's on the money.
He's on the money,
That's
bro.
what
I'm telling you,
happens.
That's
It's
a sickness.
The area mentality, Joe. Remember we had a chat about it.
That's sick.
Where are you
That's
from?
sick. Oh, punch bowl.
Yeah, okay. A different pecking order out there.
So
Different, bro.
for us, it's punch bowl.
Sans Susie.
Belfield. Maybe Stratfield.
Yeah, that's when you've made it, when you hit Strathfield. No, for me, I went to Granville South Public School, and then went to high school to Parramatta Marist.
Nice.
Great school.
Great school, 40 Oida.
Is that correct?
Mate, I actually went to school with. I did the same thing with this Paul Gallen. We were on the show together, 100% footy. We both started playing footy for OLQP Bulldogs, our Lady Queen of Peace.
Yeah.
Greystones.
Yeah, went to Wenny Leagues, went to Marist, and then I may have missed a few milestones along the way, but we both ended up on 100% footy.
I think he missed the SG Bull team.
So, yeah.
NRL Premiership, State
Yeah,
of
that's
Origin.
right.
Can I just say on that, bro? I've seen you guys do a segment where obviously two Parramatta Maras boys on the same panel, same show. I actually watched that, bro, and just the feeling of pride by just seeing that, man, was unbelievable.
Thanks, bro. Yeah, no, he's
That's awesome.
Because I parade to him all the time, but how when you look back now about how good school was, especially Maris.
Loved it. I love school.
The DNA, the history,
Yeah.
the rugby league culture, it was just second to none, man.
It's a shame it's lost this rugby league identity, to be honest. Like, I was
It has,
sort
yeah.
of played in that end of when they really cared about footy. Like, I played alongside, they were a year above me, but I played alongside Dave Williams.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
He was at Parra at the
He
time.
was at Marist. Mitchell Moses' brother, Steve
Is that
Moses, was a
Werewolf?
good player.
Sorry?
Yeah,
Werewolf?
the Wolfman.
Yeah, the Wolfman,
that's
yeah.
it. Yeah, he played there. Played a couple of games with Steve Moses, Mitchell's brother.
I think he was probably one of the best sixers our school's ever seen.
I know, he was a good player.
He was a gun player, I
He was a
remember
gun
him.
player, yeah.
So what happened to him?
I think
Management.
I think his knees. I remember he had a lot of issues with injuries.
Yeah,
He was a
right.
good
Joey,
player.
he was, bro, I'm telling you,
So-
one of the best sixers our school's ever seen.
So are you saying, I
understand.
understand Mitchell's a 7,
Yeah.
but was he better than Mitchell Moses?
Bro, tough call.
He was a good jump player. James Bastani.
Buzza?
Yeah, Buzza. He was
Good
a
old
halfback.
Buzza.
He was a good player.
Yeah, wow.
So they were the year above me. So when
Yeah.
they left, I ended up playing the halves for Marist. But good times, man. Good times.
So rugby league fanatic from a young age.
Yeah, Dragons.
Dragons.
Tragic. Absolute diehard.
Trent
Dragons,
Barrett.
There's a
tragic.
reason why I like you, bro.
Yeah.
Reason why I like
I
you.
was talking to you off camera, bro. Every mufti that I see him at school, bro, he'd wear his Dragons jersey.
Even on school days, I'd be wearing the Dragons
Even
jersey
on school,
under the
old school.
shirt. I used to get in trouble wearing the Dragons jersey too much. But man, I loved it. I absolutely loved it. And I played it from when I was 4 years old till I was 23.
So did you have a dream of actually playing in the NRL?
Oh yeah, for sure.
Yeah?
I wasn't. So when we were coming through the younger grades, so I'm in that Parra district with the same age group as Jared Hayne, Chris Keating, Trent Hodkinson, Tony Williams.
Wow.
That was all the sort of guys in my year. And
That was
I remember trying out for Harold Matson,
Wow.
SG Ball, and Chris Keating and Hodkinson kept getting ahead of me. But
the rest is history.
so when I got to a certain point, I went to uni. I remember doing my uni preferences, and they were all like sports science stuff, so I can try and get into, maybe being a physio or a trainer or NRL team.
Yeah.
And at the last minute, I changed it to communications because I thought, you know what, maybe I'll try and get into rugby, because I love to like commentate or always just mucking around and always commentating games on my own.
Yeah.
And I thought that would be cool. And I sucked at English. Like I hated it.
Yeah.
I still haven't read a book. I shouldn't probably admit that. But I loved footy so much that I thought I'm going to go through journalism course, a degree, and hopefully at the end of it, make a career of it. And I went to uni at UWS in Penrith.
Good place.
Did you go there too?
I went to Parramatta.
Oh, there you go. Yeah.
But I used to not go to watch tutorials in Parramatta. I go to my mate's lectures in Kingswood in Penrith. So I used to just like go back. I used to go hang out in the lectures just for fun, bro.
It was a good spot. It was. I enjoyed it, and it was just like, for me, I was like, I'm going to do this. I'm going to try and make it in rugby league in the media. And I still remember the reason I got into it. My first assignment, I did a story with Timmy Manor.
Yeah.
Good man, Timmy.
And because I knew all the guys from when I was playing against them.
Yeah.
Played with guys like, I was at Wenny Leagues and All Saints. Played with a few of them. Guys like Tim Robinson. I remember Tim Robinson.
Yeah.
Played for Sharks.
He just stopped playing for Hills recently, I think.
Oh, did he?
About a year ago or 2 years ago.
Yeah.
He was playing massive for Hills,
Player.
yeah.
He was a good player. But
That's Chad's brother, God rest his soul. Chad
Yeah.
rest his
Oh,
brother,
okay. Yeah.
So when I did an assignment, spoke to Timmy Manor. I think I remember speaking to the trainer, Craig Catterick, and I got lucky because my lecturer knew the editor of the Parramatta Sun, and she sent my work into him. And they just, at the time, local papers needed content.
Yeah.
And they asked me if they wanted to run it in a local paper. I said, yes, sweet. And I remember the guy, John McDonald, his name is, a reporter, well-respected reporter. He worked at in the main newspapers for years and years, sort of went towards his old age and worked at the local papers. They rang me like a few weeks later and said, would you like to cover the lower grades for us? I said, bloody hell, I'd like to cover
Wow.
I didn't know how to write a story.
Yeah.
I did it for 12 months for free every weekend, or every time they were at home at Parramatta Stadium, going out there covering Jersey Flag, SG Ball, and Premier League, New South Wales Cup, and did that for 12 months till I eventually, there was an opportunity at the Fairfield Champion as a cadetship, and I was still doing uni at the time. And once that came up as a paid job, I think it was like $28,000.
Big cash.
Jumped in. And I said, happy eight.
Bigger than for free.
100%, bro.
Well, for me, I was probably 19 at the time, and I was just like, mate, this is the dream. And I was going from Marylands to Fairfield, covering soccer. Mate, it was awesome. It was unbelievable.
I remember, bro, that's awesome, Mick. I remember, like, obviously in school, like, we weren't that close, but I'd see you around. You were a big footy head.
Yeah.
Like, I never thought. But then one day I was in the office. I was working in the office in Para. When I was an accountant. Bro, I came across an article and it said Michael Chammas, reported by Michael Chammas. I go, surely that is not the same bloke.
Not the same ad
Not
that used to walk around in the Dragons jersey.
I go, surely not the same bloke that used to wear the Dragons jersey at school, bro.
Yeah.
And then I looked at the photo. I go, bro, journalism. I go, that's a big.
But we always talk about it, Bill, how
change, bro.
How I wouldn't say you fell into it, right? Because you had a dream, you've chased it. This is why you've chosen that degree. But it's just funny how the chain of events occur. All started from an assignment, then, it got put forward to a local paper.
Yeah.
That's probably worth $1.50.
Yeah,
and
Sure. That doesn't exist. The paper that doesn't exist anymore.
It doesn't exist anymore.
I miss seeing in the driveway.
Yeah.
That would be the same as the torch that we had in the Canterbury Bankstown area, right?
Yeah.
Mate, rubbish.
No, that's right.
The thing, with all due respect, I say it, Mick. But that's all right. With all due respect, I say rubbish. Like, I get that's where it all started for you. Do you still have that article, by the way?
Yeah, I do actually.
That's
I've still got
wow.
I've still got like the first 2 years I kept everything.
That's crazy.
And it's in my dad's shed. He's been trying to get me to get it out of there for years. I said, just leave it, bro. What am I going to do with it? I'll leave it there for memories.
Mate, I'd throw it in a frame in a heartbeat. Yeah. So you've gone from soccer. Where did you go from there?
Yeah, so Fairfield Champion, I did like Sydney United, Bonnyrigg, Marconi for years. Worked for Football New South Wales, covering like local New South Wales Premier League.
Did you like soccer?
I still love soccer. I do.
Really?
Yeah. Well, when I finished playing league, I moved into soccer.
Yeah.
Because I wanted to keep playing. I still play soccer, and
you still play?
Yeah. I've now moved into over 35s. I'm that old, bro.
Wow.
They're mad because they play Friday nights, and I've
Under
got
lights.
kids. I can't do weekends. Friday night. Perfect. I get to play.
Yeah, it's good.
Pretend I watched the footy the night before and then go talk about it on Saturday.
I was telling you off camera, I can't even finish an Oztag game. I done my cartilage in my ankle, bro.
Yeah, bro.
I'm still feeling it now, bro.
Yeah, you do, bro. Hey.
My hamstrings are still on the 30-meter line from about 2 years ago.
That's awesome. Michael, all right, so Fairfield champion.
champion.
What happened after there? Like, where'd you progress on?
I remember I got an opportunity. I applied for a job at the Illawarra Mercury.
Oh.
And at the same time, I applied for a job at Big League.
Okay.
And I remember getting a call back for both of them. And at the time, I was told that you've got each person told me I've got the job.
Wow.
And I had to make a decision between going to the Big League back in the day.
Which was massive, by the way.
Massive back in the day.
Yeah, bro.
Yeah.
Or going into the Illawarra Mercury, which was owned by the company at the time, the Fairfax Community Newspapers.
Yeah.
And I just remember being torn about what do I do? Like the Big League was like going there to cover NRL. But I also felt like if you want to make it, you need to be in a newspaper. And going to Illawarra Mercury, it wasn't going to be NRL. It was going to be junior sports stuff.
Yeah.
And I thought, I made a decision to go to the Illawarra Mercury because I thought long term, as much as I'm not going to be doing NRL,
How old were
that
you?
was a better education for me. It was 2009. So I would have been 21 years old. And then I went to the Illawarra Mercury. And you talk about timing. I got lucky because when I get there in 2009, I was 20 years old actually, the Dragons go on, Wayne Bennett arrives.
Oh.
So we're owned by the Sydney Morning Herald, Illawarra Mercury, same company at the time.
Oh, the stars align.
Well, journos aren't going down to every training session. And when I eventually start covering a little bit of Dragons, because I was covering lawn bowls, kids doing hockey. Like,
So was that part of your job description or you added it yourself?
I did it myself because you know what? I said, I live in Sydney. I was traveling to Wollongong every day. What I'm going to do is how about I go to the away teams? All you guys live in Wollongong covering the Dragons. Why don't I go to South Sydney when they're playing the Dragons and go get Isaac Luke or go and get John Sutton? So for a while, I was doing the away teams, going to Penrith when the Dragons
You
played.
put your hand up willingly. So
I said that. Do you want it? And the Dragons were the main ticket. And what happened was the Herald started using my copy because they need copy about the Dragons. And slowly, they started to obviously recognise my name, say, okay, this guy's doing it. He can spell, but he's doing it right.
What?
For
National are you?
actually, my parents were actually born in Lebanon, but they're from Syria.
They're Syrian.
Yes, my
All right,
background's
so
Syrian.
this wog
Yeah.
can spell.
Yeah.
So you're a
That's the
shoe-in.
box.
It's a
You're a
start.
shoe-in, yeah.
It's a start, bro.
That's right. But you know what? Like, I get to that point where I'm covering cover the Dragons in 2010, and because they're doing so well, the Herald want lots of copy.
Yeah.
And it gets to a point at the end of 2010 where the Herald, I got a call saying Monday night footy, Tigers versus, I don't even know who it was. They said, we can't get a journo out there. Can you go and cover it for the Herald? And I said, yeah, fucking hope I'm
Absolutely.
going out there.
100%.
Yeah. And I still remember it, Harom. It was Simon Dwyer the day that he did his shoulder.
Oh, wow.
And
Was that when he hit Hargraves?
Was it the Roosters? No, that was
No,
a good
that-
shot. That was a good shot. That
that's
was
when-
on Hargraves.
I think that was a semi, wasn't it?
That was a semi, correct?
Yeah.
Correct. Correct.
He's talking about the nerve damage.
He did his
Yeah,
shoulder. Yeah.
I thought it was the same game
Yeah,
for some
yeah,
reason. I don't
nah.
know why.
Man, and that was like, well, I'm thrown into the furnace here. This is a big story unfolding.
Massive.
Didn't know how big it was at the time,
Yeah.
but we could tell something wasn't right. And that was the very first game that I covered, not working for the Herald, but sort of helping out for the Herald. And then eventually they offered me a job over the next 12 months. 2011, I ended up going to the Herald. And my first game for the Herald, proper game covering for the Herald, was Brookvale, the night of the fight.
Battle Brookie.
versus Melbourne.
Yes.
Wow.
That was my first game. Lucky I was there with the senior journo, Glenn Jackson, who now works at the NRL as the media manager. I remember him saying to me that night, mate, before the game, you do the news and I'll do the match. I said, yeah, no problem. I didn't know what news and match was. I didn't know what the difference was at the time.
What is the difference?
Well, someone just covers like the biggest issue in the game and then someone does a general match report.
Oh, okay, yeah,
So generally the senior guy will do the match report and then the shit kicker will do the fluff on the side.
yeah, yeah.
Well, when that erupts,
That fell in your lap.
Glenn Jackson turned around and said to me, I'll do the news, champ.
I'll do the fluff. I'll do the fluff, brother.
I was like, you do what you want, mate. But that was my first game. And then
Wow.
from there, yeah.
Did you see it? Were you there? Were you right there?
Mate, yeah.
Right in front of you?
I was in the press box, so it was up there.
Okay.
But it's crazy. Like, when that all unfolded, I'm like, what the hell do I do here from a journalistic point of view?
Okay, so was it that moment where you sort of had to pinch yourself, or did you pinch yourselves at the Illawarra Mercury
No,
when you were
Mercury.
doing the away games?
Mercury. I remember driving over, every time I drove over Mount Ousley and driving down and going to to Wollongong, I just remember thinking, because I'm a Dragons fan, right?
Yeah.
So I just remember thinking, it's not like life is not going to get any better than this. I'm going down there to interview Dragons players. But as much as I loved it, it was probably the end of my love for the Dragons. I'm still a Dragons fan, but it's not like it used to be.
Yeah.
Like when you start, like the guys, and I'm friends with some of them now, like Jamie Soward. Like Sowie was so difficult to deal with as a player, but I love him. We're so close now. He was my favourite player.
Well, he won us a comp, bro. You have to love him.
Well, I did, but at the time I remember thinking, why is this guy being a Gronk to me? You know what I mean? I love him now. We're very close.
Yeah.
But at the time, you get cut by it, and you see the other guys, and that was a tough group, like Bo Scott, Jeremy Smith. They were hard to deal with from a
hard man on the field too, bro.
Yeah.
Like you can only imagine.
And then also Wayne Bennett. Like it wasn't easy.
Did you get? All right. What was the best thing you got out of him?
Oh, bro, I once couldn't believe I organised a one-on-one interview with him, right? So I've left my house. I live in Maryland, so I'm driving to Wollongong, and it's cold winter morning.
Yeah.
And I like to wear my Ugg boots while I'm travelling down. But I get to Wollongong, and I'm getting out of the car, and I'm like, and I didn't bring my shoes.
Oh no.
I didn't bring my shoes. I didn't have, I'm an hour and a half outside of home. I'm about to do the interview with Wayne Bennett, and I'm here in freezing Wollongong wearing my suit and Ugg boots. So I went down and did the interview with Wayne Bennett in my Ugg boots.
Oh my God. Did he say anything?
He just looked at me. I was like, mate, I'm sorry. I forgot my shoes. I live far. He was fine. But I was just like, of all days that I've left my shoes, because I just get in the car with the Ugg boots, and I just think I'll put them on when I get there.
Yeah.
At least we'll never forget who you are now.
I was just going to say, he'll never forget.
I don't think Wayne remembers that. I won't forget it.
Cuz did you like obviously you mentioned big Dragons fan going down to Wollongong all the time. Bro, did you obviously were you do you remember a moment when you're like, fuck, I got to stop fanboying here. I got a job to do?
You know what? No, because we're the local paper, it was like, let's get behind the team. Like at the Herald now, it's like we don't have teams. We just cover the game, right? Yeah. But the Mercury is a bit more of a, you
more
get
intimate.
behind.
More intimate.
It's a one-team town. You get behind them. So I just naturally started to fall away because I felt like, I was cut with the club, or I'd be cut with the player, how he spoke to me, or I'd be cut with the media manager, or whoever it was. And over time, that sort of becomes your job.
Because you took that team personal, because you've grown up with them your whole life.
Yeah, they're your
and
heroes,
like you said,
right?
you used to wear the jersey to school.
Yeah.
Right? Now you got the opportunity to be in their face. And you're expecting they see me as a Dragon supporter, but really
they don't.
They see you as a reporter.
Scumbag.
Yeah.
As the germ,
and that's right. and that would have taken the shine off for you.
100%, man.
And you know what? At the end of the day, Mick, sorry, anyone out there, even those Bulldogs players that want to bang on a rubbish bin at Belmore, they'll give their team up if they say, right, you get Mick's job. You get to do what he does every day, week in, week out.
Oh yeah.
But you got to give up your team. You can't be biased, right?
Yeah, true.
Anyone will give their team up, bro.
Yeah. I think it's more of a natural thing as well. Like I'm assuming you naturally felt that way, so it wasn't hard for you to do.
Yeah, it wasn't hard. I was sad about it.
Of
I was
course,
more sad when I had kids. And I always dreamt my kids. I'm going to take my kids to the footy. We're going to be Dragons fans, all in the hill in the Dragon Army. But I just found myself not caring. I live out west now, even further west. And my eldest son became a Panthers fan. How do you live out there, have the success that they had,
and stop him?
But also, bro, they were great to deal with. And that's what I find now as a journo. I've got one son who supports Penrith, one son who supports Brisbane, and my daughter she just goes forward with the flow. But I find myself now cheering for the guys that I get along with. Like Cameron Ciraldo. I'm loving the Bulldogs at the moment. Cameron Ciraldo I've known since he was at Penrith. Got a great relationship. So I know, mate.
Ooh, up the Dogs, baby.
I'm finding I'm sitting there going, every time they score, I'm pumped.
Thanks, you know who this guy is?
Yeah.
Did you see a guy with a trolley, DJ'd off a trolley? That's him.
Were you in there?
No, that wasn't me, bro.
Bro, I was after the game because I was there covering it.
One of my
and
mates.
I saw these people gathered around. I thought, what's going on here? Then I got close and I was like, watching. I was like, I better get out of here before these Bulldogs turn on me.
No, it's one of my mates, bro. It was good. Mate,
but
made a big masterstroke.
But do you find great marketing
Great
technique.
marketing, of course.
Yeah,
that DJ he's talking is blown up now because of that.
Should do it after every game.
And by the way, hey, I'm not taking the piss. But as a Dragons supporter, that's my job, right?
Yeah, of course.
I'm not going to sit there and pat someone on the back.
Yeah. No,
that's what we hate is.
Fuck.
Yeah, so that's...
What was it? Yeah, but...
I was talking about... Yeah, so I go for whoever I get along with now.
Okay, but sorry, Mick, I'm going to stop you.
Yeah.
Of course they're going to be good to you, the Dogs. Of course Penrith are going to be good to you. And you're going to get along... And this, again, no disrespect. You're a great guy. I'm not. They might like you for who you are, but when a team's winning, they want to talk to the media. Yeah.
Yes, like look at Penrith now, man. They're getting sick of us. And
Now,
and we're getting sick of them. But at the start, it was brilliant. At the start, they were like happy to do everything they want, and they're great blokes.
so when you say at the start, like
When they
so,
started to rise,
so 21,
yeah, 20, 21.
yeah. And when did it fall off? Is it now that they're in a
They're
rut?
not
or
rude or anything, but they're just over it. They're over it, Joe.
is
Like,
it
they don't-
is it now because of the rut they're in?
Nah. Even,
So
in,
it
even
happened
in Vegas,
before that?
Even in Vegas, you could just tell, man. And I get it. Like, they're just over dealing with media, everyone in their faces all the time. It's just, they just want to let us be.
Okay,
And I
but
get it, man. I get it.
I get it too. But do you reckon that's part of the reason why they have fallen off?
Because they stopped caring.
Stop caring. The energy's not there.
Maybe. I think I definitely feel lack of it, like an energy change in the place.
Yeah.
I feel like Jerome, Sonia Taruva, like these guys changes the dynamic. I feel Brian To'o and guys like that, they're missing their friends. It's not the same place it used to be.
I gotta own up to something here, and I'm actually like, it was very surprising when Luai left,
Yeah.
right? Because in that grand final, I was the first one to say, and I apologize, Jerome, I really do. And again, I only said it to my mates because I'm not one for a keyboard warrior. I will never hammer
Yeah.
anyone, any public figure online. I can't stand that.
Yeah.
Right? But I did say to my mates, Penrith winning that game against Brisbane in the grand final was because Luai came off and Cogger came on. That in my opinion at the time, that was the turning point.
Yeah.
And I was like, nah, man, Luai, he's going off the back of Cleary. In Origin, look at him when Cleary's not around. He loses himself. I was a harsh critic. But then this year rolls around, he's left. Then you look at the Tigers and they've got a bit of momentum.
Yeah,
I wouldn't say that they've had a run of the Bulldogs, but they're
the
10
Bulldogs from
times.
last year, but they're probably the Bulldogs.
I think
from
they are,
before.
Mate,
yeah.
wow.
Yes.
Perfectly put,
Yeah.
Mick. Perfectly
See little
put.
bits of they get it right. They can be good.
So then you look at Penrith, how they are. It's like, man, Luai played a big part in that team.
100%. He's a good guy, Jerome. He's a great guy, eh?
I don't know him personally, bro, but I love his I love his energy.
Yeah.
I love the aura, bro.
Yeah, and I've always found Jerome one of the most respectful guys to deal with in all the NRL. And
Really?
So a lot of people will never know that.
yeah, no,
Because they see the
villain
sitting up against the post,
he's different.
you know,
He's
like, you know,
different,
go to work tomorrow type thing.
yeah,
Everyone coming for him, but then when you hear this side of him,
mate, nothing but bro. I had an incident, a run-in with Jerome at one point. We sorted it out, but at the time, I remember grand final week when they played Para,
Yep.
yeah,
and I did the story. I interviewed Jerome down at Nepean River with some of the Panthers boys. I was mucking around with him. I said, "Oh, Parramatta have always been big brother, you know, like have things changed?" And he said something to me at the time. He's like, "Oh, you can call us daddy now." So, remember that daddy?
yeah.
It was mad line. I started laughing. He was laughing, whatever. And I remember writing at the time, like knowing that, you know, he's mucking around in this
Tongue in
situation.
cheek.
And I wrote it that way. It was like down the, 5 or 6 sentences into my story. And I didn't make a big deal. It wasn't my headline. But what happened after that, and this is the trouble sometimes, like Fox Sports ripped off the story and this turned into this big drama, Luai, you can call us daddy, the sledge at Parramatta.
Oh wow!
And players, they don't differentiate between who writes what. Like, he would have remembered that I did it.
And then pinned it on.
Well, I didn't know at the time. I didn't know anything of it. But I saw him in the grand final on the day leaving the hotel, and he was a bit cold to me. He was a bit near-shift, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I have a good relationship with
Yeah.
him. And then I saw him in the sheds after they won the comp, and I sort of was next to him, and he sort of said something to me that was obviously not pleasant. And I was just like, what have I done here? You know what I mean? And
Did you ask him?
yeah, and then I asked somebody else after, and I said, what had I done to Jerome? And that was
That's what
the
come
daddy
out.
stuff,
Yeah.
right? Because it was a big deal at the time. Remember after the game, everyone was like daddy, and they were posting videos.
Yeah. Who's your dad?
Yeah. And obviously in the end they used it as motivation, and but I remember being cut. I was like, bro,
You didn't do
I
that.
get along with this guy. I don't want to do this to this guy. This wasn't my intention, you know? So I messaged him after the grand final, maybe 4 or 5 days later, and I said, mate, understand how you feel. I said, but explained it to him. And to Jerome's credit, he didn't understand how it happened. He said, brother, we're all good. I didn't know. I appreciate you coming out to me. No, all love, no issues
Wow.
whatsoever. And mate, there's going to be times where he's going to be disappointed, like when I broke the story about his contract. You know, his family going to the Tigers.
Yeah.
They weren't happy, right? And
What was the story, Mick?
I broke that he was going to go to the Tigers on a 5-year, $6 million deal, and he hadn't told his teammates yet. He hadn't told Penrith yet.
Okay.
And then cameras ended up at training, and he had to force to tell his teammates. Then he didn't rock up to training the next few days because he was pissed off with Penrith because he thought Penrith leaked it.
How did
Drama,
you get grasp of that? How do you find that out before his
You want me to
teammates?
reveal sources?
No, like it literally, like you must fuck, bro, to break something like that without. You must be confident.
I was nervous after. I was
going to
confident,
say,
of
bro, you
course.
must be confident, dialed in. Like, nah, this is happening. Like, you're not going to fucking say that for no reason.
No, I still remember I was at my son's T-ball and the call came in and I rang other people and checked it and I was confident. And even if when you're confident, you're still shitting yourself. You're still shitting yourself because
bro.
things can change. And I ever had Cameron Sorrello ring me saying, are you sure? Are you sure? Like, because they thought they had him.
Oh, dogs.
Yeah.
Oh.
Like, the Dogs had a text message from him saying that he was coming. That's what they claim. So
Hang on. The Dogs had a text message from Luai
yeah, this has been reported, yeah.
saying, I'm coming.
Yep. And then there was a change of heart, whatever the Tigers did, negotiations, Shane Richardson comes into the club and they get the deal done. Now,
Wow.
that you're still shitting yourself, bro. You're still thinking, what if you're going to left with a massive egg on your face if this is wrong? Even though you know it's
100%, bro.
right at the time, because things can change.
So this was a question for down the track, but you've brought me to it sooner. And you said that you've got a good relationship with him. How do you remove that relationship, right, when it comes to a big story? Is there a story that you've had that was massive that you didn't write because
Heaps.
it was about one of your mates?
We make judgment calls all the time about, is the story going to be worth the outcome of writing it, right?
Yeah.
Now, if someone like Jerome, when I say I'm close to him, we're not best mates.
Yeah.
But when I
But
see
you're
him,
good.
or if I need to ring him, I will.
Yeah.
Like when the contract situation started at Penrith, I rang him and said, Jerome, how do you want me to handle this? Am I ringing you every time I'm doing something here to run it past you? And he said to me, you got a job to do, man. You do your job. Okay.
Was this before the...
This is at the very start of the negotiation.
Wow, yeah.
Because I got a relationship with the Panthers, with the bosses there, with Luai, and it's a juggling act. And they get really sensitive when it comes to their contracts, which I can understand. That's their livelihood.
Yeah.
So there are a number of stories that you sort of have to weigh up whether or not.
Can you give us like
Let me have a think.
Can you give us a cracker one where this could have skyrocketed your career?
No,
Does it work like that?
yeah, no, I don't think any like particular story just takes you there. I don't think there's anything that big, but on a day-to-day basis, you just make decisions all the time whether or not it's worth running. There was one issue. I was at the NRL. I remember writing a story about a player. I won't name names because it could still be problematic, but a player complaining about how much alcohol he had to consume during a representative camp.
Huh?
He had to.
Yeah, like he
You
didn't
don't
want
drink
to.
that much.
And I said, well, and I remember interviewing. I was at NRL.com at the time, and I asked the player interview. He was more than happy to talk about. Heard you struggled on this camp. He said, yeah, I couldn't keep up with the drinking. I said, what happened? What'd you do? He said, I went to the coach. Coach just laughed at me and handed me another beer. Now, this is years ago, right? But I was at NRL.com at the time.
Yeah.
And obviously there was tension. I'd moved over a little bit. The NRL were trying to build up their website and be a news outlet. And I remember it going all the way to Todd Greenberg about this story comes out. It's going to be problematic for the game. Cause
Yeah.
you know.
It's a culture they don't want.
Culture that I want, exactly.
Well, and at the
But
time.
that's the rugby league culture, bro.
Yeah, well,
That's what
Sorry.
it is. I'm sorry.
but
and you can
not
add-
everyone can cope with it, right?
You can add bags to that too.
And the rest. But like that aside, bro, it's the culture. You play hard, you drink hard.
Well, the difficult situation is because the guy wanted to leave the camp and it was,
That bad.
yeah, and I spoke to him about it and he was more than willing to share the information. But what happened, the NRL then decided, well, this is going to be bad for us. We're not going to completely pull the story, but you need to write the story and go back to the player, show him the story and say, are you sure you want this to run? And at the time, well, of course, he's going to read it back and realise no one's ever going to pick him in rep football again.
Mm-hmm.
So
He pulled the
I
pin.
followed the instructions, pulled the pin. I gave it to the club, gave it to the player. Please don't run it.
Just
And
so we're
which is what I
clear.
did.
Just so we're clear now, just for the viewers that don't know. especially when you make those rep cams, you know this, you probably know this too. The drinking is a big part of it, and especially back in the day when they used to have the tours, when they used to tour in England.
Yeah.
So you had the first side that's going to play, and then you had the emus, the boys that are in on the camp. But the emus they're like the shit kickers aren't playing week in, week out. Respectfully, I'll say that. I'll say that respect. The boys, the Reggies of the Australian team, for instance, their job is to make sure that the boys are well hydrated, if that makes sense. And you know, it's just part of the culture. Now, for a player to say that, now can you imagine a player coming out telling, I don't want to drop names, but like the Australian coach, and this Australian coach has been around for a while, saying to him, I don't want to drink. I don't want to drink, bro.
Yeah,
it's almost laughed at.
Yeah, but hang on,
It's almost laughed at.
Isn't that like borderline bullying?
Yeah.
which is why the story never ran.
Yeah.
Yeah.
At the time I was at NRL, that's part of the reason I left, is because at the end of the day, you're still working for the governing body. I was at the Herald for 10 years, or like worked my way up. Fairfield champion, Mercury, Herald. It was 10 years I was there. I took a redundancy, went to the NRL.com. They were supposed to build this massive empire of news outlet, take it seriously, and eventually cover the games. I was 2 years in, Peter V'landys start, and I'm really close to Peter V'landys now. But I could see the moment he came in, he was going to pull
Wipe
up the pieces because he's.
Is that the app? That NRL app?
Well, it was just the NRL.com NRL app, but we were doing was breaking stories on there. So I broke Anthony Griffin getting sacked by the Panthers when I was at NRL.com.
Oh,
people
wow.
didn't like that. People thought, what do you mean the NRL website is breaking that a coach has got sacked?
I get it.
Yeah,
He's beating the big boys.
Yeah, I get it.
And news, like at the time, News Corp especially, the Telegraph and that, they were getting the shits with the fact that NRL.com were doing this. And there was always pressure on V'landys when he came in was to shut it down. And I could see at the moment he came it was going to happen. And I said, I've got nothing but respect for Peter, but that happened, I was out.
So where did you go from
I
there?
went back to the Herald. And at
Back
the
to
time,
the
Channel
Herald.
9 had merged with Fairfax. So that was my way back in.
So right now you're at the Herald.
Yeah.
You're on Channel 9. You're employed by Channel 9. Who else are you with?
So I'm in the 9 umbrella, basically. So they own, obviously I do 9 News, I'll do Wide World of Sports, the stuff, the shows and the game stuff, and also the Sydney Morning Herald. That's my main employer. I do some stuff with Triple M.
That's right, Triple M. Yeah.
With some stuff on radio.
I'm loving that, by the way.
Great podcast too.
I love it.
The great Danny Widler.
Yeah. I love that more than 100% footy. Maybe because 100% footy is late at night.
Yeah, that's staying up.
And I've got one eye open.
Yeah.
Tune into the podcast too, Joe, with the journos. It's called the journos.
Yeah, journos.
Mate,
Yeah.
You see a different... Mate,
Yeah, but that...
it's amazing.
This is what I love is because they're passionate, they're lovers of the game. And what are you doing? It's what a lot of these potties are doing. They're commentating on what's happening. But obviously, the added juice is the connections you've got and your sources.
Yeah.
Am I right in saying that?
Yeah, I think we're trying, like with that podcast, we try and give people a bit of behind the scenes information because, bro, you don't give a stuff what I say about the footy. Like you watch the footy yourself, and if you want people's opinions, you get the greats of the game to give you their
But
opinion.
no, I think you're a bit harsh on yourself.
No, but like it's true. People, bro, the numbers shit will tell you that people don't want that stuff. They don't want match reports from the journos.
They want goss, bro.
They want the goss.
Yeah, no.
And more that's
100%
becoming
agree
my
with
job.
that.
And people say, "Oh, you're a scumbag. You only focus on the negatives." Well, read the positives, and that's all we have to do. But no one does.
Yeah.
No one does. People want the juice. There's a reason the Lockie Galvin stuff is the highest rated story this year. There's a reason that the highest rating stories are the 3 issues: Cherry Evans, Lockie Galvin, and Spencer Lenu versus JT on the field after the game. People want the drama.
Throw Dylan Brown in there too.
Dylan Brown.
Look, you're 100% right because I know from our clips that Phil makes for us.
Hey, Phil.
It's always the ones that have like a sad story, or like Manasseh's story, the jail story. Like they blew up.
Yeah.
Like you're talking for us, 300,000 views.
Yeah.
That's massive for us this early. And people, that's what they want, unfortunately. But this is the world we live in, and this is what I want to ask you, Mick. Right? So for me as a everyday layman, right? I found when I was working on myself, on my mental health, trying to be better, do better, the first thing I done was stop watching the news because it was so negative. And you'll find like specialists and you know, these professors and people on your TikTok reels telling you that, mate, cut the news off.
Yeah.
That's the first step. I was a massive 2GB listener, like to the point where Ben Fordham became my good friend and he emceed my wedding.
Oh, that's it.
Yeah. Like, and that was from me being a 2GB tragic. And I'll never forget one day I just rung him up on the hotline and I just asked him, because I've got this saying, Bill knows I love it. If you don't ask, the answer's always no. So I pick up the phone, I go, hey, Ben, how are you, mate? He'd known me by then because I would always call up and give my opinion. And I go, mate, I don't have an MC for my wedding. Would you MC? He goes, you know what? Go back to the switchboard. Give me the dates. I'll get back to you. Rings me back the next day online, and he made it like a bit of a thing about it, and he said yes. So my point is I was embedded in the news and the radio and whatnot.
How much did you pay for him, cuz?
For free.
Oh, you did it for free?
No, he done it for free.
Oh,
Champion.
wow.
Yeah, no, I didn't. I offered him, right?
Yeah.
So I go to him, Ben, I appreciate it. Whatever you want, I'll pay you.
Yeah.
He goes, nah, man. He goes, I'll do it for free. Like, he done a full segment. Even for our wedding, he was on, because he used to be on the Today Show.
Yep.
So we've got a video with Carl Stefanovic, Lisa Wilkinson.
That's
What's the old guy with the white hair?
Koshi? No, not Koshi.
No. Richard
Richard
Wilkins.
Wilkins, yeah.
And
Koshi.
Ben
Koshi's
Ford.
got no hair.
They were on the couch and they done a personal video for me and my wife.
Oh, good.
Like, they done it on a commercial break.
That's mad.
So, he's a gentleman. Like, Ben's a great guy. But again, going back to my point, the first thing I had to do was stop listening to Ben. Yeah. Stop watching, the news. Even though it's your job, Mick, do you find that it sometimes weighs you down? All this negativity?
Oh, look, it's to be good at this job, you have to be across everything all the time, and that is just exhausting.
Yeah.
Like, we just can't. And it's hard from a family work-life balance. Like, you feel sorry, you go home and your kids, they want to play, and it's like this big story broken. They don't understand why you.
Yeah, absolutely.
Why you just walked off out of the backyard because you were playing footy. You have to go work. Like, don't get me wrong, the job has its perks. It's unbelievable. I've travelled the world. I've been to Wimbledon, Olympics in Brazil, in Paris. Been to the best sporting events in the world. Like, the amazing job. It's given me so much. But it's hard, man. Like, it doesn't stop. It doesn't stop. Like, phone's always ringing. I just love that little period when if I go overseas at the end of the year, I just switch my phone off.
So you obviously take your work home.
I have to.
Okay, you have to. So how does your wife cope with that?
She's very understanding. She's unbelievable for me in that way. Like, I wouldn't be able to do it if she didn't, she had the kids sorted, and obviously I'm helping out, man. But I know that if I need to, if she hits the fan, she's got it covered. So it's not easy on her, and I feel bad, which is why at the end of the year I'd like to just have that period of completely switching off. I hate social media. Yeah, I know it's it's a big part of my job.
Part of your life, yeah.
But as soon as the season's done,
coming from the bloke that's all over it lately.
Well, that's what I'm telling you. I made a decision last year. I thought I've got to move with the times, bro. I've got to get.
You have to,
because I wasn't on it. I was on Twitter, but Instagram and that.
Oh, so you've just recently jumped on?
Yeah, I just thought, well, I'm looking at overseas and the way that things are going with sports journalists. You've got to be engaging with fans. You've got to be providing different content. And I thought, you know what, I'm gonna try and get into it, and that is another burden in itself because you know what that's like. It's a beast.
Job on its own, bro.
But as soon as the season's over, I just want to delete it. I just delete the app. I don't care. I don't go on social media for I don't like that world. Yeah. It's fake. People posting things. But I'll do it for my job, and as soon as I don't sit there scrolling and stuff.
You don't feed off it. You don't feed off it.
Nah, I got no interest. I check it to see if anyone's broken stories. Like, there's journalists I really respect. I'm always looking at what Carrie Arnott or Brent Reed has done at the Telegraph or Buzz. Like, guys that I have a lot of respect for. You just want to win. I just don't want to lose, bro. And obviously, I wanted to play footy. I wanted to play in the NRL. Couldn't make it. But that competitive nature has just flown on into what I'm doing now. And it's just like, nah, I'm not going to let this bloke beat me. I just want to beat them all the time. Now, sometimes you make an error of judgment. You go too hard on something. And, bro, in this game, you're going to piss people off, eh? Like, I don't go out there to stuff someone over. But at the end of the day, if you're making friends all the time, I can't be doing what I do because I can't sit on the fence.
It's like a footy game, bro. Then the journalism industry is like a footy game. Like, it's whatever happens on the field stays on the field, but it's gonna be rough, bro. Not everyone's gonna like what you do. I'm assuming it's very similar.
100%. And like the fights you have, and then you make up with people. But man, I make great friends out of a lot of players over the years. Like, you develop a trust with these people. Sometimes you fall out with them. Like Latrell Mitchell, I was really critical of Latrell Mitchell over the last few years, to the point where he wanted to kill me, you know what I mean? But last year I ended up sitting down with him.
Oh, was that tense?
Yeah, like
Not literally, but
literally going to kill me. But you know what I'm saying? Like he
but off ya, full off
he
ya.
was off me. Yeah, he was off me. And it got to a point where I think I reported last year that he was out late in Vegas the night before the game. And like, you know, he thought that was below the belt. Now I didn't report it till after because they were hopeless Souths.
Yeah.
And his form deteriorated, and he's like, you know, thought it was a low blow. Maybe it was, you know, but until I sat down with him, he sat down with me. We actually, which I was surprised, you know, we organised to meet up, and I sat down with him and told his story last year and before Origin, and it was really powerful. I've never seen him like that, and developed that trust and relationship with him. Like that to me, that, you know, meant a lot to me, and I hope it meant something to him because he doesn't give many people time of day. So to develop that relationship with him, you don't want to burn it now. You know what I mean?
Absolutely. So what would you? Okay, so what would you do, Mick? Say you get a phone call or a text message at 3 a.m. Right? So Souths have a big game on a Sunday arvo, and he's caught at the cross in a blue, and you get that that info first. What would you do? Obviously, you'd ring him.
Well, now I have the luxury of being able to ring him. Yeah.
Yeah. Would you still run it?
Well, depends. Like, this is the situation. I would say to him, Trell, who saw it? What happened? And I'd say, is it going to get out? Because if it's going to get out, how do you control this situation? Get ahead of it. What are you going to give me quotes? How are we going to handle this? Because it's going to get out. And a lot of the conversations are with people is this is going to come out. So whether you like it or not, get ahead of it. And that's the message you have to a lot of people is nothing stays secret.
So you have an approach.
You have to.
Yeah.
Now, I remember the great Josh Reynolds, one of your friends here.
Good old Grubby.
I rang him years ago.
He's a good man, Grub.
I got a tip. He got hit by a taxi outside the Star, outside of Marquee. Did he?
Sounds about right.
Yeah. Because he was being out outside the club. Know what he was doing.
Oh.
And I remember ringing him on the Sunday, and Josh and Grubby shat himself. He shat himself.
Yeah.
And at the time,
because you got a whiff of it. You got your shadows.
Yeah,
okay.
Yeah. I don't know what he said. I think he made up some bullshit that it didn't happen, but I knew it happened.
Yeah.
And I sort of had a little bit of a relationship with him. And at the time, he's like, and then eventually he's like, mate, please. And I was like, you know what? He was drunk, being an idiot. I don't know if there was any harm. I let it go. And to this day, I have a great relationship with Grubby. Like, I spoke to him today. Throughout his whole career, I did a lot with him.
I'm laughing at the same thing you're laughing at.
Do we have to edit this, or
No,
are we allowed to
you
run
can
this?
leave it in there.
Shout out to our boy Grubby.
He doesn't. He's done now. He's retired. He's yesterday's man. We can air this out. I don't care.
Yeah. So and like another one, like Robbie speaks highly of you. Last year when he left the Tigers, there was a story you were running, and you rang him up and gave him the courtesy of, Robbie, I'm doing ABC. Is there something you want to add?
Yeah.
So firsthand, I've heard that your approach, and sorry, Mick, there are guys in your industry that they are grubby in the sense they don't give a fuck. They're not gonna pick up that phone and ask for
courtesy,
their opinion, or is there some like, do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
They might ring up for a quote like, oh hey mate, I'm running this story. You got something to say?
Yeah.
You don't do that.
Well, the thing is, I always encourage young players, and I even said this to Lockie Galvin the other day, like, form relationships and trust with someone in the media, because you're going to need someone at some point. And in that situation, I've known Robbie a long time, but I'm not going to sit here and say other people are scumbags and I'm not. If I don't know the bloke, you're not going the extra mile to ring them or find out what's going on with them, because all you need to do is check if it's right and then you write it, because you don't have that human element of attachment to him. I get along with Robbie. I've known Robbie since he was younger, when he was a younger player.
Yeah.
When I first started, he was always good to me. We've had our run-ins, don't get me wrong. But in that situation, I think the story was him maybe wanting to become general manager at the time at the Tigers. Just ring him. I said, mate, I'm writing this story. I know it's going to cause you drama. How do you want me to handle it? I think I might have held off for a little bit and wrote it in a certain way, but mate, if you've got a relationship with someone, you're going to, like, that's how you treat them. You treat them with the respect to ring them and tell them you're writing about them.
Yeah.
And that's why I try and have a relationship with everyone, but it's impossible with that many people in rugby league. But
how many NRL players do they say? Is it 450 every year?
Yeah.
450 NRL.
Like Victor Radley,
like you said, that's impossible.
I get along with Victor really well now, but at the World Cup a few years back, I wrote the story that Victor Radley got in a big fight. Well, not a big fight, but got into a fight with an Irish player this guy named, I think his name's James Bentley, during the World Cup.
Off the field.
Off the field at a pub. Yeah.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Because I think the guy had a crack at the England coach, and then Victor Radley cracked him. And
Good man, Vic.
at the time, I didn't know Victor. I checked the story with everyone to make sure it was right.
Yeah.
As in with the relevant, NRL.
Mick, when you say everyone, who's everyone?
Well, you ring the NRL, you ring the England Rugby League, you ring the World Cup organisers. Everyone confirms that it's happened.
Okay.
But I don't know Victor at the time.
So you run it.
So I run the story.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, but if that's someone I have a relationship with, well, I'm calling the player direct. It's, yeah. Everyone does it.
Is that industry standard though?
Like an unspoken rule?
To what?
To ring the...
So
like
for the news reporter
Yeah.
to ring the player involved
I like to do it
if they know them.
I'd like to think so. I think a lot of people would do that. Yeah. Yeah. Like, I'm not sitting here thinking I'm the greatest journo in the game. That's not far from it. But at the end of the day, what we do, our job is to get people to trust us.
Yeah.
And you only get people to trust us if you're genuine, you have relationships. That's all we do. We get stories based on trust. And if you don't develop relationships, you don't have that, and you don't get these stories. And some people you're going to burn, because when you write something about someone else, someone else is going to get upset.
Yeah.
You can't please everyone. But at the end of the day, if you feel better going to bed knowing that you've done the right thing by most people.
Michael.
Absolutely.
Oh, mate, just we'll take it back a bit.
Tell me.
So we've got Wide World of Sports, Channel 9, NRL on 9, Triple M. You've hit all these milestones in your career. I want to take you back now to 19, 20-year-old Michael Chammas. Did you ever in your wildest dreams think the boy from Marylands will be sitting as the man he is today, doing what you're doing now?
Nah. No, I remember sitting on the 100% footy the first time I sat next to Gus and Galvin, and I remember just looking around and saying, what the fuck am I doing?
Wow.
Like, I don't belong. And I still sit there.
That pinch me moment. You had that pinch
it's
me
just
moment.
like, bro, you don't belong here. And I still think that.
Imposter
but at the end of the day, you just think, you know what? I've made it now to this position. You want to give it up, or then don't cherish it. You know what I mean? I cherish what I do. I love what I do. I'm lucky, as I said, the reason that we cop, I reckon, journos cop so much hate is because we're just average people who do what other people would love to do, which is sit there and talk for a living.
Absolutely.
Love to.
And I get that. And that's why I don't care. I never get angry at people on social. I haven't blocked anyone yet. That may change. But it's like they're all fans who love their team. I was that kid once. I was that guy once. And if I didn't get into the industry, I'd probably be out there so passionate about
Still
my
wearing
team,
the
getting
same-
upset about
Still
what
wear that
people are
same
saying.
04 jersey.
100%.
Mate, you left
Got
at the
Trevor
best
Barrett
time.
jersey.
You left at the best time, Mick.
Mate.
Fuck, it's been tragic.
But
It's been tragic
in
the
saying
last
so
10
too,
years.
but it's a testament to you. Mate, you're different. I reckon you're built different when it comes to this industry. The way you execute your messages, the way you talk, the way you present yourself. It's a testament to help you get to where you are today, bro. You've done very
You
well,
actually,
bro.
for a Lebo,
That's
Half-
Arab. That's what I'm trying to say, bro.
honestly, bro, you're doing
For a
amazing,
bloke who
bro.
hasn't read a book.
Yeah, bro. Like
Nah,
something
appreciate
I cop, bro. Like my English is fucked, right? So I cop like even in the comments. It's use is sheep. It's sheep.
That kills
So
me,
I've got a lot of work to do.
Mate, you guys are doing well.
it's awesome work, bro. But like I said, you had that pinch me moment on 100% footy. Now, growing up, who was your favorite? I know who it was, but tell our listeners who your favorite player was.
Oh, really young, it was Anthony Mundine. Then it became Trent Barrett.
Yeah.
And then Jamie Soward. I was Dragons.
Tragic, yeah. I know.
So-
through and through.
So who would you say now is the best player in the comp today?
Best guy I get along with, or best player from football?
Football wise.
It's Nathan, hands down. Nathan Cleary. The player I love to watch the most is Kalen Ponga. When he's on fire.
I
brilliant
can't.
to watch.
Yeah, man. I still haven't seen it yet.
Same as me, Joey. I'm not tripping out. Same as me. I don't know what it is.
Again,
I still don't think he's reached his potential.
but is he going to get it at Newcastle, Mick?
He wowed me more at the Cowboys when I was a kid.
Yes.
Yeah, I agree.
True?
Yes.
Yeah, I
True.
agree, yeah.
That's when I saw. But
I'm like, who's this
they
kid?
keep banging on. So there was this fucking video. It killed me today. I watched it. So it's like it's Walsh drop kicking a ball
Yeah.
from underneath the sticks, right? So he's doing a dropout.
Reece Walsh?
Yeah, Reece
Right.
Walsh does a dropout, and the commentator, they've obviously used backing of someone scoring a try. And Walsh, and this commentator just loses his mind because Walsh is doing a drop kick. In other words, saying whatever this kid does,
Yeah.
It just gets amplified.
Yeah, of course.
You know what I mean?
Add GST to it.
Yeah, bro. It actually made me cry. And I just feel the same with Ponga at times. And I hate to say it because I'm not shitting on him. He's a great player. But is he what they keep saying? Like, when Ponga, like, I know when a player's out from a certain team, like when Cleary's out of Penrith, I'll throw a couple of $100 on whoever they're playing. You know what I mean? When Ponga's out of Newcastle, I'll probably still back Newcastle if I feel they're playing a weaker team.
I think he's on 1.4 $1 million. I don't think he's a $1.4 million a season player yet. He's he does $1.4 million games in him, but he hasn't put together a $1.4 million season. Yeah.
Agreed.
Like he had that year that he won the Dally M, but that was on the back of a run at the end of the season. Like,
Yeah.
He hasn't done a full-on season where you think this kid is unbelievable. And I think he will one day.
So how does Newcastle get him for 1.4 and now add Dylan Brown?
Yeah. Soon me and you'll be playing for him. They have to fit us in. That's the only players they can get.
Yeah, hey, for $10.
Yeah.
Like that's half their salary cap. Like
Michael.
How does that work?
You want to play two? You can play two.
No. If it answers Joe's question, I'll go on for you after.
Yeah.
But how does that look?
It just means they're going to be weak in other areas. Their depth won't be as
100%, bro.
So it's going to be tough for him. But also the salary cap will go up, and I don't think Dylan's contract goes up. So it goes up a little bit, but not a lot. So once they get
do you believe he's worth that much?
Nah. Good luck to the kid, and he's another good kid. He's a talk about guys, like genuine good guys. Genuine good guy, Dylan Brown.
Nice guy, bro. I met him a few times. Like, actually, had a couple of beers with him too.
I'll have to do exercise on who's my 1 to 13 of good blokes in the NRL. Actually, I need to think about it one day.
Well, why don't you jot it down and we can talk about it.
Mick, bro, you mentioned before where you were sitting on the footy show, on 100% footy, sorry.
Yeah.
You're like, what the fuck am I doing here? I want to talk to you about something that which comes across, happens quite too often. It's called imposter syndrome. It happens to a lot of the boys that are just cracking in the top 30 who are training in the first grade squad. It's happened to me when I first started playing at all these big venues in Sydney and all around Australia and all that sort of stuff. I started saying to myself, fuck, do I really belong here? Am I good enough to be here? As a man, as Michael Chammas, like back then and now, did you ever have doubts? Am I good? Am I meant to be here right now? Do I deserve to be here right now? Or is it, you know what I'm trying to say?
Yeah, 100%, man, 100%. And even still, like, not so much for the newspaper stuff, but when I'm on TV and I'm sitting there and it's Joey and it's Freddie and it's Gus, it's Gal, mate, you're sitting there thinking, honestly, how do you not think, why am I sitting here with these guys?
100%, bro.
You know, and the newspaper stuff, I feel like I've just got to a point where I back myself from that. But still, being around the players in the game, I still think, why am I here? Like, why do I deserve to sit in the company of the greats of the game? And
those boys were in the era we grew up watching.
Yeah.
Like they're the dogs, bro. They're the goats, man.
Mate, those days when I'd get home after training and I'd sit there and I'd record Gus's pre-game origin spiel.
Yeah, the best.
I'd go back and I'd remember it and I'd recite it and I'd do it. That was mad. And even now I get cut. Like, Gus and I don't really get along, but I'm just thinking, when I was a kid, but half the reason I'm doing what I'm doing now is because of moments of like watching Gus as a kid.
Okay, but let's make it clear, yeah? This didn't just fall in your lap, Mick.
No.
So let's not take credit away where credit's due.
He's worked hard, bro.
Mate, don't forget, the decision, the strategical decision you made on what course to study, right? Then it was the free gigs at Paris Stadium for juniors. It was then the Mercury driving to Wollongong every day from Marylands. Yeah. Bro, you did the hard yards, bro. And people need to understand, don't look at Michael and think, he's the glitz and the glamour and commentating on a game in Vegas. Mate, it doesn't just happen. There's a backstory.
That's just the tip of the iceberg.
You know what I mean? And you have done the hard yards. And if there is something that you want to do, put the effort in. Put the effort in the same way you have. And I always say to my boys that I coach, effort will always beat talent, right? And it's evident in grand finals that have been won and lost. The Cronulla grand final in 2016, mate, no one gave them a hope against Melbourne. Yeah. Cameron Smith, Billy Slater, the fucking big names, man.
The big three, bro.
Cronulla beat them on effort. Yeah. That's what they won that game on. So you've done the hard yards, Mick, and you're a testament, bro, to that. So
it's bro. At the end of the day, I don't have the English skill. Like, you know what I mean? Like,
we weren't born with. Sorry, bro. We come from the area.
Nah, that's right.
It wasn't like we didn't go to a Northern Beaches prep school.
No, we're just taught how to lace labs.
You know what I mean? Absolutely.
It's true, man. It's true. Like, I have to work harder than everyone else, and I honestly felt like for a long time I just had no life. I gave up a lot. I did uni for 2 years during the day. Sorry, I worked full time, and then I did uni at night for 2 years, and then was going into the city to do shorthand, a separate course on shorthand skills. So for 3 years of my life, I basically just studied work.
Amazing.
And then,
mate, you're bearing the fruits now.
I appreciate it, man. I love it.
Mick,
very lucky.
Mate, thank you for coming on. Mick, we could talk for another hour and a half.
Yeah, hard, bro, hard.
Honestly,
appreciate you guys having me.
We appreciate you, man. Before we go, oh, by the way, big shout out to
He can plug it now, bro.
Who you plugging?
This guy plugs. We plug here. That's all we do.
I got to get James Bracey to teach us a few things about how to plug.
Oh, yeah, mate, please bring him on, bro.
Vince from Stateside in Liverpool, helped me cop this outfit today. So appreciate you, Vince. Mate, if you're after any caps or any NBA or rugby league gear, or even they do NRL now, head out to Stateside in Liverpool.
That's a nice plug.
Michael, before we go, can you end the night with like a banger, something that we don't know, whether it's about you personally, whether it's something that's cooking, something that's happening out there.
Unpopular opinions.
Yeah, something just cause a bit of controversy for us.
We need some controversy on the show.
Enough controversy.
You haven't done enough, bro. Not on our show yet.
I'm trying to think.
End it with a bang.
I'm going to ask you something.
Tell me.
I'm going to say it straight out.
Yeah.
Even though this might air in a couple of weeks.
Yeah.
Can you see a particular Tigers player not being there in the next couple of weeks and playing for a rival team?
Yeah, put me on the spot because he told me that he's going to run. We're filming this on what day is it, guys? It's
but you know what?
April 23.
We'll clip this. If it's something banger, we'll clip it and drop it like in the next couple of days.
Yeah. Even
tomorrow.
I don't think Lachlan Galvin will be at the Tigers before June 30.
Yeah,
I think he'll go to the Eagles. But it depends on what Parramatta do with Dylan Brown. Can they get him to Newcastle? Because Newcastle haven't got the money. There's a bit to work out. If the Tigers struggle, it'll blow up.
Mm-hmm.
They go and win, bro. If they go and win, like I said, April 23, if they go on a run and beat the Sharks, they go and run and beat the Dragons, and
they won't let him go.
Why would you?
Yeah, absolutely.
Why would you? If he's going to be a good enough, and he's a good kid, I feel sorry for him. He's a good kid. I hope he gets through this and the Tigers fans get behind him. But as I sit here right now on April 23, I think he'll end up at the Eels before June 30.
Well, there you go.
Wow.
Michael Chammas, been a pleasure having you on the BillyJoe Podcast, bro.
Appreciate it.
40 Owedo.
Michael.
40 Owedo.
Guys, that's episode 10 of the BillyJoe Podcast. I hope you guys enjoyed it with one of the very best, Michael Chammas. Once again, for another week, I'm your boy Billy.
I am your boy Joe.
Have a good night.
See you guys.